Hey, how y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade. And we're about to talk about AEW Dynamite from October the 21st, 2020. And uh, do me a favor, hit the like, hit the thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. And I hope you guys enjoy my review of the show. So we're going to go in order. Um, and the first things first is they had Wardlow versus Jungle Boy. But before we get into Wardlow versus Jungle Boy, I want to talk about this tournament. Now, I was told that this tournament was for the number one contendership for the AEW World Title. Okay, fine, that's cool. Then I saw the rankings, and then I saw that the rankings and the top five, none of those people were in the tournament. None of them. And then I was told in the show, well, you can't. John Moxley beat everybody in the top five already. So we got to have a tournament to have a number one contender. Okay, fair enough. And then I'm told, oh, Eddie Kingston gets a title shot at the pay-per-view. Didn't John Moxley already beat Eddie Kingston? Why doesn't this stuff make sense to me? Okay, you can get around the rankings by saying John Moxley beat everybody on the rankings already. Okay, fine. But explain to me why somebody John Moxley already beat is getting a title shot. If you have rankings, why whatever, right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. I don't know why I'm even asking the question. Don't know why I'm asking the question. So we're going through Wardlow versus Jungle Boy. Two dudes who are both green, and they looked like two dudes who really didn't who were basically taught how to work a basic big man little man match. It wasn't offensive, but it wasn't nothing to write home about. JR really tried to put over Wardlow. Other places that I worked would have salivated over this guy. Like, yeah, they would have, and they probably would have kept him in developmental forever because they wouldn't have had him on TV looking stupid. But he didn't look that bad here because he didn't have to do that much. You know, all he really had to do was counter a lot of Jungle Boy's offense and, you know, not fall over. And he did a good job of not falling over. So that's the good stuff. The really good stuff that took place on AEW Dynamite is the John Moxley, Eddie Kingston promos. That shit was divine. You got this. The setup is perfect. Eddie Kingston is a boots and jeans guy, hardcore guy, loves wrestling, loves the business. Thought John Moxley was one of his boys. Thought John Moxley was like him. John Moxley grew up poor, also kind of a boots and jeans, blue collar guy. He sees the opportunity to chase millions of dollars, something he's never had before. But he's trying to see where his talent can take him. He takes the opportunity. He leaves he kind of leaves leaves everybody else behind. He goes out. He does his thing. He makes the money. He becomes a success. And now everybody hates him. You know, everybody is like, you left us behind. You a sellout. You know, this storyline is so realistic. It is very realistic. It hits close to home. But this show is so bipolar that this does not fit on the rest of the show. This is really good. This does not fit the rest of the show. But this was fucking immaculate. You got this guy who's bitter, who's angry, and he has changed. Both guys, you got two guys, both of them were friends, and they've sort of grown apart. Moxley did what he had to do. Now he can do what he wants to do. Eddie Kingston only does what he can. You know, he's fighting, he's scratching every day. He didn't get the opportunities John Moxley got. So he's like, you know, being a liar, being a manipulator, sure, that might not be who I am. But look at where it got me. It got me another title match. You know? And Moxley is like, well, I'm going to torture you until I get my friend back. I'm going to crack through that veneer that you've created around yourself until I get my friend back. I love that shit. The only problem with this is that you have two very street, very hardcore, very tough as nails guys. You cannot make one of them quit. If Eddie Kingston quits, what does he have left? His whole persona, his whole character is street to the bone, never give up, never submit, never surrender. He can't, I mean, even though I think he's lost to Cody by submission, I believe. That's very different from saying I quit. Saying I quit is you walking away. That's you leaving. You know, you saying you can't take anymore. And I don't see how his character can survive saying I quit. I don't see how it can happen. You know, sometimes a character is like that, where it's irreparably damaged by things like saying I quit. Like Rusev. Once Rusev said I quit in the I Quit match with John Cena, you couldn't put that toothpaste back in the tube. You know, he could still be the Bulgarian brute, but he was never going to be the monster that he was before. Because they've seen him be humbled thoroughly by saying he quit. Not just losing by submission. Because, you know, you could lose by submission, get caught in the submission hold, tap out. But by saying, I can't take anymore. I don't want to fight anymore. And for a fighter, for a warrior like Eddie Kingston, there's absolutely no way. There's no way you can get away with putting his character through that and him coming out the other end good. You know? Now, Jon Moxley did, you know, he can't take that either. And plus, he's a babyface. So you really can't have him surrender. And then he's like your Dirty Harry. You know, he's your Western style hero. You know, he's like your sheriff. You know, he can't go out in there and submit and surrender and say I quit. Babyfaces shouldn't lose I quit matches anyway. That's just a pet peeve of mine, even though we know it happens. But Moxley is, and then another thing that I just thought of. Why are they making people pay $50 for this match? There's no way Eddie Kingston is going to win. There's no way Eddie Kingston is going to become the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Why are people paying $50 for this match? Go ahead and do it on TV and get a big number out of it. Save something bigger for it. And I'm not saying that Eddie Kingston is not a draw. I'm not saying Eddie Kingston isn't interesting. I'm not saying Eddie Kingston isn't great. He's fabulous. He's really good. The promos and stuff with Moxley is really, really good. But I just don't, other than they're going to do deathmatch bullshit like hit each other with fluorescent light tubes and have run cheese graters across each other's heads, I don't see why this match needs to be paid $50 for it. I just don't see the reason. I don't see the reason. But whatever. It is what it is, man. So Sonny Kiss versus Kenny Omega. Sonny Kiss was in the match because Joey Janela had contact, quote unquote, with somebody who had the virus. The coronaversy continues with Joey Janela and GCW running shows and people getting the Rona. Here's my opinion on that. Everybody involved in it is an adult. All the fans who come in attendance are adults. Hopefully there are no children. And as long as all of the adults are in the building and understand the threat or the danger or appreciate the threat and the danger and whatever, I can't complain. I cannot rightfully tell other grown folks you shouldn't be running shows and making money in the world where people are pissed off because they're locked down. There's people going to jail because, you know, they can't work. They want to operate and live on their own and not live off, you know, unemployment checks or whatever. I'm not going to begrudge people for going to work. Not going to do that. So sorry if that's what you expected. I'm not. You know, Joey Janela has a right to run his shows. If the state's going to let him run his shows. If performers are going to show up and perform. There was at least two people who both worked for Impact who backed out of the GCW shows. If everybody else did not have everybody else wanted to go, let them go. So that's my piece on that. So Sonny Kiss was in this match, and then we go through this entire pretentious. No, hold on. Sonny Kiss was referred to as both he and she in this match. Neither one of those things are wrong because apparently Sonny Kiss uses both male and female pronouns. Whatever. Whatever. So Kenny Omega gets this big, magnificent, megalomaniacal entrance where Justin Roberts is rattling off all of his stupid pissant mark achievements, like being on the PWI 500 and Sports Illustrated Match of the Year, or being now announcing him as the mega champion of AAA. That makes sense. Take that out of there. That makes sense. But everything else, where it's like 7-star classic, the all that type of shit, I'm just kind of like, what is going on? And it's becoming a pattern in AEW where guys just start adding shit to their intro. Like Jericho does it, the demo god, the million viewer man, le champion. It's like you're just stacking gimmicks. Like you're just what Jim Cornette calls putting a hat on a hat. That's basically what they're doing. We're just gonna, like, if you're unfamiliar with Kenny Omega, you could just let the commentators talk all that about what he did in Japan and how popular he was and all that type of stuff. Let the announcers tell that story. Justin Roberts should be doing ring introductions, not running down the fucker's resume. And why does Kenny Omega? Well, I guess they're trying to establish that he's a heel, establish that he is truly a singles star, unlike Hangman Adam Page, who is a tag team wrestler, as Kenny Omega has said. And I get that, but I just thought that it was unnecessary. And then you had the dancing girls with the brooms, and I was surprised there were even girls. If we're being honest, I'm surprised there were girls involved because I don't know about Kenny Omega. And the match itself, perfect. I did not need to see a 10-minute Sunny Kiss match. Kenny Omega whiffed the fuck out of that V-trigger. I mean, he nowhere near contact. And it keeps that Sunny Kiss, man. Sunny Kiss matches. But two moves. V-trigger, one wing angel, pinfall, and then he gave you the meme face. Kenny Omega gave you a nice little meme to go with the match. The meme was better than the match. The meme was better than the match could ever be. I support the meme. The meme is fine. So then we find out that there's going to be some kind of lumberjack match between Cody and Orange Cassidy. And then we have to stop to talk about how Cody gained 14 pounds because he's trying to become a heavyweight in a company full of light heavyweights or some stupid shit that he was talking about. I'm like, what the fuck is Cody blathering about? What the fuck is he talking about? What does any of that stuff means? 14 pounds? I think he was talking about that shit on Twitter. Like, ego. The ego is growing, dog. Like, the ego is out of control, baby. Pentagon and Phoenix had the worst match Pentagon and Phoenix had ever had. It was easily the worst match Pentagon and Phoenix ever had. It was boring. It had no heat. That was the worst part of it. There was no heat. There was no reason for them to have that match. Other than, tournament means that you guys have to wrestle each other. That was the only reason to even have the match. And they didn't have a good one. I've seen them have better matches in Impact. I've seen them have better matches in Mexico. They've definitely had better matches in Lucha Underground. This match was just not good. And I didn't like the finish. Pentagon Jr. used his arm breaker, which, I'm still in a Pavlovian sense. I still look at that move like it's a big move because that's how it was in Lucha Underground. It was a big move for, Pentagon to bend your arm all the way back and do that arm breaker. So I still think it was a big move. And they do it, and Phoenix is selling the arm, rolling around on the mat and all that type of about the only thing he sold the whole match anyway. And, and Pentagon's just watching them, like, not taking advantage of that. And then he takes his glove off because he got to do the Zero Miedo taunt. And then Phoenix reverses whatever he was trying to do into a Canadian Destroyer and pins him. And I was just kind of like, fuck this, you know, fuck this. And people were like, oh, this is the match of the night. This is a great match. I'm like, no, it wasn't. There was no great match on this card. There was not one. Not one. So then we got the best friends and Miro thing. Look, let me tell you what you can do with this. You can crumple all of that up, put it in the nearest hefty bag, tie the hefty bag, carry it to the nearest raccoon restaurant and dump it in. Fuck all of them. Okay, I don't even want to talk about best friends. Fuck them. Then we get the dorks and Colt Cabana. They're backstage doing comedy. And I realized then Colt Cabana still has his original theme song. It's boom, boom, Colt Cabana, boom, boom. And I was like, what? How does that scream Dark Order? What's dark about that? What's orderly about that? There's nothing dark or orderly about boom, boom, Colt Cabana, boom, boom. Has a pretty standard ass match with Adam Page. Who cares? Colt Cabana, look, I blame y'all for Colt Cabana. Because Colt Cabana was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion in a fucking broom closet in the dark. Nobody gave a shit. But it was all the indie marks that was like, oh, Colt Cabana, he's so good. He's so funny. He's so cool. Nobody give a fuck about Colt Cabana. Get the hell out of here. I wish he could just go away. So Sammy Guevara is obsessed with Matt Hardy. He wants to have another match with Matt Hardy. And they booked another match with Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy. And I agree. Somebody wants Matt Hardy dead. Because why would you put him in the ring with Sammy Guevara again? You should put him in the ring with somebody safe. You should. Well, I guess there's some type of story there that Matt wants to get out. There has to be. It has to be a Matt Hardy idea. I'm pretty sure, the guy's 45 or something like that, 46, something to that effect. He's got stroke. Likely, this was his choice, that there's something with Sammy Guevara that he wants to get out. And, it has to be specifically with Sammy Guevara. Otherwise, I would just pick somebody else. Working with Sammy Guevara is hazardous to his health. So then we do this great Taz promo where Taz is like, Will Hobbs, we gave you a week. Where you at, bruh? And then they kind of go off into some other stuff. And, they talking about Darby Allin, and Starks is obsessed with Darby Allin. He's mad that if he had beat Darby Allin, he'd be the number one contender for the TNT title, but Darby Allin's the number one contender. And, we get this later on. We get this Steve O from Jackass fame, the guy who stapled his nuts to his leg, his thigh. That motherfucker used to actually go on tour and do stupid shit, like cheese grate his own balls and electrocute his own nipples and shit like that. He used to actually go on tour and do that. I was a kid when Steve-O used to do stupid shit and Jackass was on TV and those guys were like grinding rails and falling on the rails and tearing their assholes open and, falling and busting their nuts. Like this Tony Hawk pro skater shit that they're doing. And I love the games, but I don't want that shit in my wrestling. I don't want it. I don't see it's out of date. Is that stuff still even around? Like, does MTV still even show those type of wacky videos? Because I remember they was really on a not wanting to show that kind of stuff because it encouraged people to mimic it. But in this instance, you got Steve-O of Jackass fame helping Darby Allin do something stupid where he put himself in a body bag and rolled down a ramp. Quite frankly, stupid. What good does that do? What does that show me other than you're a goofball? That's all I got from this. It's just that you do stupid shit. You're like lightweight Bam Margera. Okay, whatever. And people want to say, oh, he's like Jeff Hardy. No, he's not. Jeff Hardy was actually cool. So let's talk about the main event before we get to the dinner. So the main event pissed me off. The main event pissed me off, and this is why. Young Bucks defeat Private Party, Dark Order, Butcher and the Blade. Oh, there was also a Britt Baker match, but who cares? And there was a member of the Dark Order. I don't know who he is, but he was knocked out. I'm talking feet crossed in the ring. His partner had to reach over the ropes to grab his hand as a tag. They kept doing flippity doos right next to this man while he's laid the fuck out. He gets up, damn near not knowing where he is. The Young Bucks are knocking him around. The guy crumples into the goddamn corner. He staggers somehow to the other side of the ring, where finally somebody pulled him outside of the ring. Now, he laid there for several seconds. The ref did not say shit. None of the other performers said shit. Nobody sought to help that guy. They just let him lay there. Fucked up, just let him lay. Why? Why did you do that? What the fuck is going on here? Why is this place so fucking unprofessional? That guy was hurt. And I seem to be the only person to have noticed this. Unless the guy's the best fucking seller in the world. He could be the best seller in the business, and I just don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But that guy looked out of it. To me. Like, every time I seen somebody with a concussion, they move just like that. Sluggish. Arms down at their side. Walk like Donkey Kong. That type of shit. That's what I saw. That's what I saw. But apparently I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So let's move on. So after the match, FTR and Tully, they jumped the Young Bucks. Beat them up good. And here's the thing. Why should I care? For the last month and a half, the Young Bucks have been beating up people who are not wrestlers, kicking them in the face for no reason. And now I'm supposed to feel bad because you got beat up? No. You got your comeuppance. When you don't play a standard, this stuff is child's play, right? When you see bad things happen to bad people, you don't feel bad for them. You say, well, you got what you deserved. You justify it in your brain. That's how human beings operate. We look at people, we say, hey, this is a bad person. Bad person gets set on fire. Bad person gets executed in prison. Bad person, something happens to bad person. Too bad. Too bad for you. Sucks to be you, pal. But we don't feel bad for them. And I don't feel bad for the Young Bucks. They are not babyface. They just did this shit with Cody. Right? They just did this shit with Cody when Cody was just being a douchebag to Warhorse or Sonny Kiss or to everybody else. And then he wants to be a superhero babyface. He wants to be a heel because it's more fun and it's easier and you get to call the match. But he wants to be a babyface because it sells more t-shirts. Fuck that, man. Fuck that. No. We're not going to let you get away with that shit. Not me, anyway. Maybe these other fans will let you get away with it, but not me. I've seen people on Twitter, try to keep Cody's ego in check, like the guy who told Cody he was his favorite mid-carder. People have tried keeping Cody in check, but it's not going to work. And now this shit is bleeding over into the Young Bucks. Everybody knows that you guys should have been the baby faces to face FTR. We know that. So why did you spend 2 months kicking people in the face for no reason? Now, it's not like you kicked bad guys in the face. That'd have been different. You were kicking decent people in the face. Alex Marvez. Even if I don't like him as a interviewer, he didn't do anything, and he's not a wrestler. It violates my sense of justice. It violates my sense of honor for you to attack that man. He's not a competitor. Okay? So why would I feel bad that actual competitors jumped in and beat up other actual competitors? I wouldn't. I don't care. You guys got your comeuppance. Fuck you. Whatever happened to you is what you deserved. Because you're assholes. And it is what it is. So let's get into Le Dinner Debonair. Because this is the one thing that everybody wants to talk about. I am a person of delayed gratification. So I'm of two minds on this. I'm gonna say this, regardless of how you feel about it, whether you liked it or whether you don't like it, AEW won. If you watched a clip of it, you watched the show because of it. If you sought it out after hearing about it, AEW won. If you gave them a click over this, they win. They won. Okay? NXT was having great sports-based matches on the other channel. All people can talk about is this duet with Jericho and MJF. That's all the people are talking about. It's the most important thing to happen all night. People are talking about, they're not talking about all the quote unquote great matches that took place on AEW Dynamite. They're not talking about any of your sports based stuff. They're talking about the musical between MJF and Jericho. And in a business where it's all about eyeballs and getting eyeballs on your product, they win. Like it or not, love it or hate it, they won. They got people to pay attention to what they were doing. They, like, what a Jim Cornette favorite is two dogs fucking on the side of the road. Okay, that's basically what they did. They didn't have a great classic wrestling match to put on TV. They just sent two dogs to go fuck on the side of the road, and guess what? It was fucking entertaining. Got me, hooked me. It worked. I laughed. I thought this shit was the silliest shit I had seen in a long ass time. I thought it was over the top. I thought it was absolutely fucking absurd. It was absurd. They're singing fucking Frank Sinatra. Now, breaking it down, I was not a fan of the early part of the show when they were talking about the steaks, all this stuff about the steak and how they want their steaks made. I didn't like that because I'm really over the whole MJF and Jericho being simpatico or being fake competitors, and that kind of thing. I'm kind of over that. But them being buddies and being like two goofy buddies, I fucks with that, you know. And I saw a lot of people; they had a lot of different opinions on this. You know, there's some opinions, and I actually did something I almost never do, and that is I went to the comment sections of a lot of the videos, and I looked, and it is very, very divisive, and because it's so divisive, it's something that it worked. You know, there's a lot of people who hate it. There's a lot of people who thought it was the greatest shit of all time. There was people who were saying if it was the WWE, everybody would hate it, and you're only being AEW marks if you like it. There's other people who are saying it's like a bad episode of Family Guy. There was somebody who said, oh, it's just like a remix of the Festival of Friendship with Kevin Owens. There was other people who was talking about, you know, just everything, the singing, the songs, the dancing, everything. It was an experience, okay? It was otherworldly in both good ways and bad ways. But the point of the show is it's not the sports-based wrestling product you were promised. Chris Jericho wants to do dumb-ass comedy. This is what he wants to do. And guess what? Sometimes the shit works. Sometimes the absurd nature of it works. You know, this to me, this is kind of how I looked at it. This is not pro wrestling, right? So I already divorced it from I detached from that already. Once I turn on AEW Dynamite, there are certain things, and this is a very bipolar show, because on the same show where you have a Sheehy, you have Eddie Kingston and John Moxley having a very personal, very serious, somebody might murder somebody else type of program. You have Darby Allin doing dumbass daredevil stunts, and you have a musical, all on the same show. All on the same show. It's such a diversity of presentation that it is legitimately almost something for everybody. That's how they get over. You know, that's how they get over. They try to make sure every show is different. But for me, what got me is I didn't know what to think of it until they started going around the table. I was sold. When they started singing and going around the table, I was like, thumbs up. Thumbs fucking up. I was down with it. For starters, I like that style of music. I am a big fan of older music, sort of the lounge singers. Not Sinatra, yes, but I don't listen to Sinatra like all the time. If it had been like a funk band or jazz or something like that, it would have been great. But I like the creativity that went into it. They Now there's going to be people, and I didn't check, but there's definitely going to be people in the comment section of these old ass Frank Sinatra videos talking about Le Champion and MJF. Who's here for MJF and Le Champion? That's fun. It is stupid. I'll give you that. It's stupid. It's dumb, but it's fun, and people watch TV to have fun. I mean, it's just I don't know what else to say. It's like like it was like I don't know if you saw the movie Yes Man, where Jim Carrey starts breaking out like this guy's about to kill himself, and Jim Carrey breaks out the guitar, and he starts singing. He starts singing to this guy, and the other guy starts singing. It's like that where step off back that ledge, my friend. Like he's playing the guitar and he's singing, and the guy who wants to jump, he starts singing too, and then Jim Carrey snatches him and pulls him back in the. And I was like, it's so over the top. It's like that. It's like Will Ferrell and the other guys when he was singing in the bar. It's so over the top. It's so absurd that you can't. I was so taken aback by it. I couldn't do anything else but laugh at it. How could you? I don't see how you could watch it and not laugh. I legit don't know how you could watch it and not find it funny. Like, the only way you could not find it funny is if you're taking it too seriously. If you take it very, very seriously, you're not going to find this funny. You're not going to find it entertaining. You're going to think it's offensive or you think it's stupid or whatever. But these two, it's not like it's two guys who were enemies who stopped and started doing a dance number. It's not that. It's not like that. It's two guys who were, as I was saying in like my oddball friendships video, where you have two guys who there's some tension between them, but at the same time, they're more alike than not, And now you see that they have a lot of things in common, that they kind of consider each other shadows. Like, you're with me, I'm with you. We got us. That's the lyrics to the song. And in the song, there's still like they changed the lyrics, so there's digs at Cody, and there's digs at Moxley, and there's digs at the Young Bucks. I think there was even a dig at Matt Hardy in the song. And they're still working heel because they're dissing baby. Well, I don't know about the Bucks and and Cody about them being baby faces, but they're digging baby faces, and they're talking about and they're still doing dastardly things like they're dropping the girls on the ground, and it's lunacy. It's absolutely lunacy. They're being cartoon villains from like a Disney movie. And I was so taken aback by it that I enjoyed it. Because I was like, at that point, I was just kind of like, fuck it. It is what it is, man. Lay back and think of London. That's kind of how it is. Just like lay back and dream of England. Fuck it. It is what it is, man. Might as well. And I got a good chuckle out of it. Especially out of them singing. It's their real voices singing. And so you're listening for like, can they carry a tune? And MJF is not bad. Like, as far as singing, he's not bad. Jericho is not good. He's not good. But MJF is not bad as far as his singing is going. The mannerisms as they lip synced is good. Like, if you look at it, like I've watched it 100 times. I've watched it 100 times. It's a fucking addictive. Okay, that's another thing that makes it good. It's memeable. It's addictive. If you watched it once, you've probably watched it 3 times. You know, like if you watched it once, you've likely watched it 3 times because you at least want to be educated on how much you hate it. So it's hard. It's very, very hard. And I like creativity. You know, as long as what you're doing hits right, I can certainly say this is not pro wrestling. It's not the sports-based presentation we was promised. If people wanted to watch sports-based presentation, NXT will be winning every week. People don't want that shit. People want absurd, over-the-top absurd comedy. That's why they watch Jericho. That's why the debates with him and Orange Cassidy make so much, gain so many viewers. It's why Orange Cassidy, period, gains so many viewers. He's one of the top draws in the company. He's a fucking comedy act. I'm not going to sit here and go against going against the grain is what I do. I hated this show. I hate AEW Dynamite. I did not like any of the matches. I liked 2 fucking things on the entire show. One was very, very realistic. The other is crackpot absurd. So that should tell you how I fall in this show. If it was mediocre, it was fucking boring, and I didn't care. But when it was good, I was involved. When it was really, really bad, I was involved. Right? Because I can't say that it was great. You know, like, oh, I loved everything about it. It's like, no, I recognize the song because I heard the song before as Frank Sinatra. You know, and I was like, oh my God, Chris Jericho is legitimately doing a musical. And I thought to myself, like, oh my God. And as it built, and as it, you know, the mannerisms and everything, the absurdity of the smiling and how they interacted with one another, how they interacted with everybody around them, I was just like, this is peak TV. Peak TV. I'm not going to diss them for this. I'm going to say this though. This is not pro wrestling. Has no business being on a pro wrestling show. No business. But at the same time, people do skits and shit all the time now. It's just kind of how wrestling. This is the way the business is going. If you hated this, like I really hate like a lot of the stand up comedy like The Rock used to do, and like he used to stand there and like roast people. Cause I always thought like it diminished the people. Like when he was talking about Kane rolling his like talking about Undertaker rolling his eyes in the back of his head, or making fun of Kane having the voice box or something like that. I always thought like The Rock diminished his opponents, you know, and I just never really was a fan of that. Jericho did that too, to a degree, in his earlier days. But Jericho was beatable. The Rock really was kind of bulletproof. Like you really wasn't going to go out there and beat The Rock. So I wasn't really a fan of like the This Is Your Life segments and stuff like that. So normally I don't like shit like this, but I enjoyed this. You know, I liked the interaction between the two of them. I liked the story that they were telling between the two of them, and it was absurd. And I fucks with it. I'm not even gonna hold you guys up anymore. Feel free to yell at me in the comment section about it, but it wasn't the worst thing on the show. That guy almost being dead in the tag team number 1 contenders match was the worst thing on the show. The V trigger that didn't make any sort of contact whatsoever on Sonny Kiss stunk up the joint. Fucking Pentagon and Phoenix having a boring ass match that everybody thought was good because they did a lot of flips and shit. Nobody cares about that stuff, man. The Moxley shit. Now, if you want to ask me what like if I was to tell you what was the good shit on the show, I would say the Moxley, Eddie Kingston stuff is legit. But it's on the same show as the Dinner Debonair. It's on the same show. It's bipolar. You know? You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get. And because you don't know what you're going to get, you stay intrigued and you stay watching. Yes. You stay engaged. That's just kind of how it is. And we live in a world where people are fighting for eyeballs. And they won. AEW straight up won. And NXT was still the better show. But AEW did some absurd shit and they won. So it is what it is. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Feel free to, tell me I'm wrong. Like the video. Donate to the channel if you can. Help this channel grow. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you to all the people who've been around for a long time. I noticed that my subscribers have gone up. It's finally gone up by a noticeable amount. So I could thank you guys so much. I always try to be honest. I always try to be fair. I always I try to respond to everybody who leave comments. I'm going to put up an email and all that type of stuff later. When I hit like 300 subscribers, I'll maybe do a Q&A or something. And thank you guys one more time. I appreciate you. And I'll talk to you later.